Hello, my name is Dr. Stephen Myers, and today's questionnaire is, what is the most important verse in the Old Testament for understanding the Old Testament? And I think it's Deuteronomy 32, verse 8, and also verse 9 there we can throw in. And you can let me know what you think. Do you agree or disagree? And it says, when the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam, he set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel. And we want to take a look at this verse more in depth. To understand this verse, I think we need to look at some different translations. And the New Revised Standard Version, it says, when the Most High apportioned the nations, when he divided humankind, he fixed the boundaries of the peoples according to the number of the gods. The Lord's own portion was his people, Jacob his allotted share. And notice this is in poetic form here, so you have a lot of repetitions and parallels here. And I've sort of put it a little bit, added some Hebrew in here with it, and below here it says, I put the Hebrew in, when Elyon, which is the Most High, scattered the nations, when he divided humankind, he fixed the boundaries of the peoples according to the number of the sons of Elohim. Which in ancient time that was 70. There were 70 nations and the 70 sons of Elohim, or El. And Adonai's portion was his people, which was Israel, Jacob his allotted inheritance. And notice the Tetragrammaton. When I took Hebrew, my Hebrew professor, he would get really upset. You never, ever say God's name. You say Adonai, and in the Hebrew it's pointed as Adonai. And so we have here three distinct different gods. It seems like Elyon, the Most High, which might parallel El in Ugaritic, and he divides the nations up according to his the sons of El. So El has sons, 70 of them, and he divides. Each son will get a nation to watch over and rule and protect. And Adonai's portion was Israel, and that was his inheritance. And I think this is the best way to understand this verse here. You may notice a difference in the King James and the Masoretic text. It says sons of Israel or children of Israel. And then a lot of the modern translations may say sons of God. And this is because of the Dead Sea Scrolls. You have this little fragment that was found in Cave 4, 4Q Deuteronomy J. It's a recreation of it. It says sons of Elohim. And here we have Cave 4. And because of this finding in the Dead Sea Scrolls, a lot of the newer translations will say sons of God and not sons of Israel. And the LXX, which is the Septuagint, the Greek translation, has angels of God. To help us understand this, I think we need to look at Ugaritic and a number of tablets that were discovered there. in 1928 at Ugarit, called Rosh Shamra today. It's in modern Syria. And they discovered a number of clay tablets that date to the 13th, 12th century BC. And it tells about the Canaanite pantheon. And right at the top here is the Ugaritic alphabet, and the little wedge shapes there are different letters. And when I was in seminary, I wanted to take Akkadian, and they didn't offer Akkadian, but they offered Ugaritic. And I thought, what in the world is Ugaritic? I haven't heard of Ugaritic before. So that was what I was offered. So I took it, and I was glad I did. And learning about the Ugaritic tablets here. And Baal is the main character. And here's another picture. They've excavated it and found a number of important tablets that help us understand the structure of the Canaanite divine hierarchy. Here we have some of the key Ugaritic stories or Canaanite stories. And the Baal cycle is the central myth describing Baal, the storm god, the fertility god, who rises to kingship among the gods. And Baal versus Yam, the sea. El initially favors the sea, Yam, to be the king to take over. But Yam is too tyrannical, demanding tribute. And so with weapons forged by Kothar Wahasis, Baal defeats Yam. And he establishes himself as the king among the gods. And he wants a palace. He doesn't have a palace. So with the help of Anat, his sister consort or sister wife, he persuades Asherah, the wife of El, the high god, and El consents, and Kothar Wahasis builds Baal a beautiful palace made out of lapis lazuli and silver on Mount Sephon, in Hebrew meaning north, symbolizing his rule over nature and fertility. But that triumph is short-lived. Mot, death, comes and swallows up Baal. And this causes drought and infertility in nature. But Anat, his sister wife, intervenes. And she's like the warrior goddess. And she slaughters Mot and grinds him up into pieces. And Shappish, the son, intervenes as a mediator, and Baal is restored to life, and Mot also returns. And this is the different cycles of the season. So winter season is when Baal dies and returns to the underworld, and then is raised up, rises from the dead for springtime, and brings life and fertility and rains back to the earth. And this is the key season cycle in the Baal cycle. Mount Sephon, Hebrew meaning north, also used for north. It was a mountain located along the Syrian-Turkish border near the mouth of the Orontes River on the Mediterranean Sea. And here you can see a picture there on the left of Mount Sephon. And it's very similar to Mount Olympus there in Greece on the right, where you have Zeus reigning, and you have the divine council meeting there on Mount Olympus. And the same thing you have there on Mount Sephon, only you have the Canaanite pantheon and divine council meeting there. Here's a map, a small map from NASA. You can see Lebanon, just a part of the border is just showing here. Ugarit along the sea there. And then Mount Sephon, you have the Orontes River coming down here. And Sephon is in Turkey. And you can see the Euphrates River over here and a lot of desert area. But that gives you an idea where Mount Sephon is and Ugarit. I asked ChatGPT to make a picture here of what it'd be like there on Mount Sephon with El, the elder god, and his 70 sons who are given 70 nations to govern. And this is what it came up with. Let's look at the Canaanite pantheon from Ugarit. You have the high god, the elder god, called El. And usually El is seated here. And there on the left, you have El. This is found at Megiddo. And this is just a recreation of it. I make these recreations and sell them on Etsy. Different ones here. And I'll put a link to that below. And he's depicted as the wise, patriarchal figure and creator. And he dwells in a palace by the source of 2 rivers. And then you have the mother goddess, the wife of El, Asherah. And she's called the Lady Atharat of the Sea. And she's the mother of all the gods. The 70 sons of Atharah are mentioned a number of times in Ugaritic, and associated with fertility and nurturing, Asherah. And then the main character, the storm god Baal, prominently figures in these myths. And his title is called the Lord of Mount Sephon, the Cloud Rider, and we have the Psalm 29 that some think was originally a Canaanite pantheon because it talks about the Cloud Rider. Then we have Prince, Master of the Earth, for Baal, usually shown standing up, and he's ready to strike a blow with a spear that some think is lightning in his hands there. Well, it's not shown in there below, but he would have the lightning rod and other for the thunder and lightning. There was an interesting archaeological find at Kuntilat Ajarad, which is like in the middle of the desert there, right at the border near Egypt and Israel, about halfway between the Red Sea and the Mediterranean. And it's sort of like an outpost for caravans coming. And they found this pottery sherd, broken pieces that form this big pot here, and it pictures Adonai and his wife Asherah. And this is what it says here, Adonai of Samaria and his Asherah. And here's more of it you can see over here. And they're pictured as a bull. And notice Samaria was the capital of the northern kingdom, Israel. And here way down south, it must have had a powerful influence at that time. Talking talks about Adonai, Samaria, and his Asherah or wife. And Deaver's written a whole book about this. Did God have a wife? And from this, it indicates that he did. The Divine Assembly and Ugaritic texts frequently refers to the 70 sons of Atharat, which is Asherah, and these are lesser gods that form El's council, which is like a royal court. So he's the king, and you have these other gods surrounding him. And Genesis 10, it has a table of 70 nations. So each god had a different nation to be in charge of. And the gods met in El's assembly, and that's where all the divine decisions were made. And this is very similar to the gods on Mount Olympus, with Zeus being the king. We also have the divine assembly in the Bible. In Genesis 1, verse 26, it said, "And God said, Let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creepy thing that creepeth upon the earth." But notice it says, "Let us," plural. And what is the us referring to? And many scholars think it's referring to the divine council of the other gods, the sons of God, of Elohim. Others say, no, it's referring to the angels. And others say, no, it's the Trinity. So there's a lot of debate about that verse. Then in Genesis chapter 6, 1 through 6, it tells about the fall of the sons of God. That they saw the daughters of men. They were so beautiful, and they had children by the daughters of men that formed the Nephilim. And I do have a whole video, a couple videos about the Nephilim. And then Job chapter 1 verse 6, "Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also among them." And here we have the divine council again, where the sons of God are meeting at specific times, I guess, to report what they're doing. Psalm 82 is a very, very interesting psalm, talking about the divine council. This is where this is set. And it says, God, that would be Elohim in the Hebrew, has taken his place among the divine El's council. In the midst of the gods, Elohim, he holds judgment. How long will you judge unjustly? So this is Elohim or Adonai saying, how long will you judge unjustly and show partiality to the wicked? Selah. Give justice to the weak and the orphan. Maintain the right of the lowly and the destitute. Rescue the weak and the needy. Deliver them from the hand of the wicked. And they have neither knowledge or understanding. And they walk around in darkness, and all the foundations of the earth were shaken. And I say, you are gods, children or sons of the Most High Elyon, all of you. Nevertheless, you shall die like mortals and fall like any prince. Rise up, O God, Elohim, judge the earth, for all the nations belong to you. So here we have Adonai, Elohim, standing up in the midst of the divine council. And this is taken from the New Revised Standard Version. And he's pronouncing judgment on these other gods who are ruling these other nations, that they are giving partiality to the wicked. They're not being just to the weak and the orphans. and they don't rescue the needy, and he's pronouncing this judgment. And he says, Adonai says, you are gods. It's sort of like, we know you are gods and powerful. Why aren't you doing anything to correct this? You're the sons of the Most High, yet you do nothing. Nevertheless, you shall die like mortals, no longer being gods, and fall like any prince. And the call is to rise up, O God, O Adonai, judge the earth, for all the nations now belong to you. No more of these gods, they're going to die, and now Adonai reigns supreme over all the world. And here it seems to be a shift from the gods to only one supreme God. And we can see changes in the Hebrew. Just as English changes over time from Old English, you have Middle English, and then Modern English, so does Hebrew. With archaic biblical Hebrew, and some examples would be Psalm 29, which was originally thought to be a Canaanite hymn. You have the Song of Deborah there in the book of Judges. You have the Song of Moses, some of these very archaic Hebrew. And then you have classical biblical Hebrew. Then you have transitional biblical Hebrew. This would be the result of the Babylonian captivity. And so you have transitional Hebrew. And then later on for the Persian period, you have late biblical Hebrew, where you get like Esther, Ezra, Nehemiah, some of these. And so too, just as Hebrew changes, and there's a good book on this, How Old is Biblical Hebrew? And that gives a little, it's a pretty detailed into the Hebrew there, showing the different changes. So too, the ideas change and develop over time in the Bible. For example, the book of Isaiah, there's a big shift in thought from in Isaiah 40 to chapters 40 to 66. Scholars call these chapters Second Isaiah, and some divide it into a Third Isaiah. So we have these Hebrew changes. A dramatic shift takes place after the horrific destruction of Jerusalem and the temple by the Babylonians in 586 BC. And they're deported back to Babylon. And now they have to rethink their theology. Why did this happen? Why did God destroy the temple and Jerusalem? Why are we here in Babylon? And so there's a big change in thought here. So now we have some of the Babylonian Persian influences. Now they, right there in Babylon, especially Ezekiel there, you have Babylonian influences. You have the Enuma Elish, the creation of the world by Marduk, which is very similar to Genesis chapter 2. Then you have Atrahasis, the creation and flood story. So you have a continuous story from creation to the flood, which is very similar to Genesis chapter 1 through 11. Then you have a Persian influence. After Cyrus the Great conquers Babylon, now you have Persia. And first we need to look at the Persian religion of Zoroastrianism, which the Persian kings supported. And here below you can see Darius the Great. At Behishtum, there's a big rock carving on the cliffs there, high up, and he mentions Ahura Mazda, who was the god of Zoroastrianism, as prominent. And Zoroaster is the Greek name for the Persian Zarathustra. He was a priest who reformed the old Iranian religion. And there's a good source book on this, the Textual Sources for the Study of Zoroastrianism, edited and translated by Mary Boyce. And then the Avesta is the Sacred Scriptures of Zoroastrianism. And we want to take a look at this. And I think the Persian influence, there hasn't been enough, research into the influence of Persian religion. Here's a quick summary I put together. I'll just read it. It says, there is one good God, Ahura Mazda, who created the world in 7 periods or 7 emanations. There's also an evil god, Satan, who creates demons. There is a dualism. So you have the good God and the evil God. You have good versus evil, truth versus lies, light versus darkness. After 12,000 years, there will be a final battle between Ahura Mazda and Satan, where good will finally conquer evil. There will be 3 saviors, or Soshants, who will come to save and redeem the world from evil. Zoroaster was the first one. The last Savior will be born of a virgin and will lead the final battle. There will then be a bodily resurrection of the dead, and they will be judged. The good ones will go to eternal paradise, and those that did evil to hell. And there will be a new earth where the mountains are laid low and the valleys raised up. And that's just a quick overview. And some think that the one supreme God, Ahura Mazda, the good God, influenced the Jewish view of monotheism. Early Jewish writings are henotheistic, which there are many gods, and our God is the more powerful than your God type thing. But later writings, after the captivity, Babylonian captivity, there's only one God, and all these other gods are just angels or demons. Zoroaster traveled around preaching his new reforms, and the Persian kings promoted this. I think there's one key verse that shows, I think, the influence of Zoroastrianism. And if you look at the chart here, it says 2 Samuel 24:1. And again the anger of the Lord was kindled against Israel, and he moved David against them to say, go number Israel and Judah. Then in the First Chronicles, in verse 21, chapter 21, verse 1, and Satan stood up against Israel and provoked David to number Israel. So in 2 Samuel, you have the Lord moving David to number Israel. In the First Chronicles, you have Satan doing it. Which one's right? Well, the First and Second Chronicles is like a whitewashing of history of Samuel and the kings. It doesn't tell any bad things about David, his adultery with Bathsheba. It whitewashes that, doesn't mention that. And so you have a sanitized version here in 1st and 2nd Chronicles. And I think this is the influence of Zoroaster and a number of other things here. But this to me really points out the differences that you see before the Babylonian captivity and afterwards. So let's quick review. Deuteronomy 32:8-9. When Elyon, the Most High, scattered the nations, when he divided humankind, he fixed the boundaries of the peoples according to the number, which have been 70, of the sons of Elohim, the sons of God. Adonai's portion, his inheritance, was the people of Israel, Jacob his allotted inheritance. So you have Elyon, the high God, dividing up the nations among his 70 sons of his sons. And Adonai is given Israel. And in the Persian period, there's only one God. The sons of God become angels. In the Septuagint, you can see it's not translated gods, but angels. God no longer has a wife and no longer begets sons. Angels are created or emanate from God. So we come to the end here. And tell me what you think. Let me know. Do you think Deuteronomy 32:8 is one of the most important verses for understanding the Old Testament? Do you agree or do you disagree? Well, you can let me know below in the comments there. And then if you want more information, I have a paper on the Bible and science, Genesis 1 and its ancient context, and other writings are at academia.edu. I have a number of books also there that you can download for free. And the website is at bibleandscience.com. Don't forget to subscribe, ring that bell, and make sure you stay tuned for more videos. They're on the way. Thank you very much for watching.